welcome everybody to day 15 of my daily vlog challenge. I trust you're all well. It looks like it's an absolute grim old day outside, so I am hunkering up indoors. But today I thought I would introduce to you my absolutely beloved Naturehike Cloud Up tent. I absolutely love this tent. So, and not just because it's purple, but it helps. So you would have seen quite a few reviews of this tent, I'm pretty sure. It's very popular. It comes in a couple of different varieties. So it comes in polyester versions, seal nylon, you can get meshy ones, solid ones, winter ones. So what this is the, I would call it a mid-range. So it's half solid, half mesh. And it's a two-person tent, although as most people would know, a two-person really means a one-person plus gear, and I think this is true to form in that regard. What I really like about it is it has, when you sleep in the middle, you have your pad in the middle. I feel like I have one side that's for dry and one side's for wet if it's particularly gnarly weather and I'm on a multi-day adventure. So it means that this tent is really handy for using, I think, in all sorts of conditions. Just because it's purple and pretty doesn't mean it's not functional. In fact, to be honest, that's the reason why I absolutely love this tent, because it's both pretty and functional, and what more could a girl want? So yeah, without further ado, I'll put the specs on the screen now, because I think that would be helpful. But yeah, we'll crack on with why I chose this tent perhaps over some of the others. The other option I had at the time, let's give a bit of context here. So I had the Wild Country Hell 1 tent just before I was going on a charity trip, but it was out of order and it needed some work doing to it. My fault, not the tent's fault. So I just needed to replace the pole section where I trod on it. Silly me. So I needed a tent for the trip, and it was called the Purple Day Busathon. So I travelled from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Land's End via buses and did lots of adventures on the way through. And so I needed a tent because I was doing a lot of wild camping or camping on campsites, and I needed something that was actually robust, not just pretty. And I had a choice of the Mongar 2 because that comes in purple, but that's all mesh. So I went in March and you could end up with -5 at night or +15. So you need to have that flexibility in the springtime, I think. So all mesh was not my idea of a good time, and in hindsight I'm really glad that I didn't. But the Mongar 2 does look like it has an awful lot more space, and it's a side entrance. So with this one, it is a little bit of a pickle when you're in your 40s and you're a bit stiff-limbed. Just getting in is can be a bit tricky sometimes, but other than that, it's perfect. I really absolutely love it, and yeah, that's the reason why I chose this tent over the Mongar 2, because they're both purple. They're both polyester versions, so the seal nylon you can get in this as well, which is I think a 4-season tent, marketed as that anyway, what you would call 4-season. And I would say that probably would be lighter and a lot more compressible. So I think if you are looking into getting the Cloud Up 2, I think a lot of people would say get the seal nylon. The advantage I have with this polyester version is that it does dry really quickly. A quick shake and all the moisture's gone. My experience using a inner first tent in pouring rain has been fine. I think I'm not as afraid of rain as a lot of people, and when it was raining on the Yorkshire Dales as part of my charity trip, I just, it closed up so quickly that I just ended up giving it a quick wipe down on the inside. And because it's breathable, as in because there is quite a decent space between the bottom of the tent and where the fly starts, there is a bit of breeze, and so that does mean that any moisture just dissipated really quickly. So I'm really happy with how that worked on that trip. It's compact. It has got an amount of squishability. So I store it in without the poles and the mat, and you can, I mean with a bit of so that you can bend it around things. The way I stored it on my trip was I would put it on top of the rucksack. So say that's my rucksack, and this is the lid that goes over the top. I would put it in between there, so it would sit, and I've got a picture of it and I'll put that on the screen now. But essentially, because it's not got the poles in, it's quite light and it fit quite nicely. It's a lot easier to get to. I think when I was storing the tent inside my bag, it was just a real faff to then get out quickly. So I've decided that's where I quite like to store it. It might fit into a different dry bag, you might be able to squish it into a side pocket or front pocket, but I found that the way that they're distributed, the weight was very good. And the poles are here, so I'll put these in a side pocket. It's got the tent pegs in as well. I always carry more pegs than needed. I've got so many pegs, I've got quite a few different varieties. I'll just take what's needed for the adventure I'm on. So sometimes I'll take little piddly pegs, sometimes I'll take the pegs that come with it. Pegs that come with it are absolutely fine, had no issues with them. I don't think they're particularly heavy or light, they're just pegs, so happy. So yeah, I generally don't store this with this, simply because I like to carry this on the top of a rucksack, you know, towards the top, and you shouldn't really be having anything heavy there. So the poles normally equal the weight of the walking poles or some of the other things that I'll have the other side, so I find that quite well. This is the footprint it comes with. It looks a bit bulky, but it does squish around, so you can really squish it if you need to. And I just normally store that in one of the side pockets. This is the first thing that comes out. In fact, when you're putting the tent up, I think it's the poles in this that you'd use first. So yeah, and I'd really recommend using the footprint, because this has got grubby but the tent hasn't, and it's made it a lot easier when I've got home and washed it and cleaned it. It's only really been the mat that's needed a proper clean rather than the tent inner. In terms of how it's fared up in poor weather, I would say it's pretty good. I would take it on Dartmoor. As I say, I've taken it in gnarly conditions. It rained the whole of my charity trip, coped absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use it as a summit tent, but then I wouldn't really use a lot of the kind of mainstream tents that you see on YouTube on a summit. I think you just have to pitch it sensibly, and you'll be fine. It is what it is. It's a budget tent. It's not designed to withhold an absolute hoolie, but what I really do like about the features is it's got two guide points either side, so I'll hopefully put a picture up so I'm referring to something that you can actually see, but it's got really good side guide lines, and that really helps keep the outer taut, and it feels like it's very robust. I do feel it's a nice robust tent. In terms of cons, I think because it's polyester it doesn't stretch, so if you're on while camping and you feel like you want something that's going to cope with undulating ground, I think it just takes a little bit more jiggery pokery to get the whole thing straight. I find where I said the side guide lines are, at the bottom on the inner, it's also got some guide points, and they just don't quite get on together. I need to work out if I can peg that in a different way, because the tub floor in that particular area can rise sometimes. So I think that's just a pitching thing, not necessarily a con. It might just be me and my idiotic ability to put up a tent. But yeah, it's really easy to put up, and if I can say that, then I think that's quite telling. I was going on about cons, wasn't I? I don't really think there are many cons. It's just about what you want to use it for. As I say, for me, anything that's pretty and functional is a winner in my book, and this definitely crosses that line. So what would I use this for? So moving forward, wild camps, definitely. It did get a bit warm in really hot weather, but I think most tents will. It's got a nice back vent that you can open up. Airflow's fine, never had any condensation issues. And I was in a fog in the, what's it called? Yorkshire Dales. It was claggy, to say the least. There was fog inside the tent because the wind that was coming through was fog, and there was no residue. It just all dissipated, no issues, and I breathed, so clearly there is moisture in the tent, but I've not had problems with it at all. I don't know whether this is a con, but I guess it's not very stealthy, to say the least. You can definitely see this tent from a way away, but I actually quite like that because I think just because of my health condition, sometimes it's quite handy for someone to clearly know where you are. And actually, even on Dartmoor, the amount of times that I've gone wild camping and there's not been live firing, because you don't want to be going on Dartmoor when there's live firing. You can use the notices to find out whether that's on the plan or not, but there is still quite a military presence at times, so you get people just checking where everybody is. Like the amount of times I've been up and there's been a white van in the distance, clearly looking out for people. And in a way I want to make sure that I'm seen, because I don't want to be run over by a soldier on a quad bike. So I guess it's your preference, isn't it? If you're trying to be stealthy, this is not the tent for you, but there are other colours that you can get. I'm trying to think if there's actually anything else to say. Nope. I think that's pretty much it. I hope that's been helpful. And any questions, do put them in the comments if I've missed anything. But I would definitely recommend this tent for overnight camps, even on a long distance trail. Just be aware of what you pitch in and where you pitch in. I don't feel like I've had to use a lot of care with this, but it is definitely something that you want to consider if using a budget tent. The current retail price I'll put up. I got this from Amazon. You probably can get it from AliExpress and other retailers. I'll let you guys do some research on that. But yeah, I've had no problems, and I cannot wait to take her with me again soon. She is my beloved.